Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Tristan Spaulding with Acceldata, and we're partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDOIQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Sharath Gokula, Director of Data Science and Analytics at Walmart eCommerce. Thanks so much for joining today, Sharath.
It's a pleasure, Tristan. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so today we've got an interesting discussion lined up. I wanted to say we're particularly excited to talk with you, someone at Walmart. Acceldata actually works within Walmart at PhonePe, one of the largest payment processors in India. So very excited to go through this and talk through some questions around data science and analytics. And I guess to start, we kind of want to start with some ideas around advice on one's data science career. So I guess the first question is, certainly this is a place that is evolving very quickly, lots of new technologies, trends coming around, things like that. I mean, if you're a new graduate in data science, what are the types of things you'd want to focus on to sort of break in and stand out once you break in?
Data science is really large, right? So it goes right from analytics to something which is optimization and causal research. It borders machine learning. Therefore, there's an engineering aspect to it. There's a math-heavy aspect to it. You need to have a good understanding of the business that you're associated with it, which is really important to stitch together the context. And so, my feeling is data science is really large, and for people who are just trying to get into the data science area, it's really important to have a good sense of what excites you within data science. And it could be very well in the analytics area where you're facing humans and making sure right decisions are made. And how do you enable that human decision making? It could be in the data engineering side where you're enabling a lot of the data, parsing the data, getting that data into the data streams. It could also be in the machine learning area, right, where you're building systems that integrate into engineering and build things like search recommendation systems and such. So it's really large. I think the first aspect is through networking, through reading up, there's a lot of stuff on the internet, understand what exactly your core areas of interest are and your current skills are, and then try to make a transition into data science. So a bunch of things that are always useful. You need to have some sort of programming skills, because a lot of it, and this is the most understated part of data science, is a lot of it is getting the data right. And there's a garbage in, garbage out aspect with data science, and getting the data right is really important. You need to be excited about the business and the mission that you're driving towards. That's really important. And then you need to have like some statistics or a lot of statistics based on what you're going for. So clarity around what specific aspect of data science you're targeting is probably the first step in the process. And then you slowly build towards getting that.
So I know there's this eternal question among sort of data science and analytics groups, and I'd love to get your view on where you stand now and sort of how you see it evolving. And that's basically, you mentioned this mix of skills. So should data scientists know Kubernetes? Should data scientists know, version control and Git and things like that?
I think some of these skills can be picked up. You're writing a lot of code and pushing it onto Git. So some aspects you need to know, some aspects which are the hardcore data engineering aspects, unless you're working at a startup and doing literally everything. You would normally have a differentiation between the data engineers and data scientists, analysts, whatnot. So it goes back to that question, what do you specifically want to do and how do you want to specialize? Awareness of all of this is really good because you should be aware of the data stack, but do you need to be an expert in all of this? I don't think you need that.
Yeah. And do you see that sort of changing or shifting these roles between data scientist, data engineer, ML engineer? I think there are analytics engineers now as a new role, data reliability. Like it seems like there's all sorts of combinations of the word ML, data, and engineer put together. I'm curious how you kind of look at that evolving for you?
Like I said, some roles within data science are very engineering heavy, especially data engineering, you could argue, is more an engineering function than an analytics function. ML engineer, I would say, sits somewhere in between a statistician and a very strong engineer. An analytics engineer is normally human facing, so they are these spanners who can do a lot of these different things, but they don't really specialize in an area. One thing they know for sure is what are the business needs, right? And what takes you to the success goals that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So again, I think some of this is probably marketing as well.
Yeah.
Right from, if I call someone a product analyst, I don't know if it is that cool, but if I call the same person as a data scientist, then it just becomes cool.
Yeah.
Some of it is marketing. I think some of it is the actual work that you do, which could be different, right? And there's a huge overlap in these roles. So we always see people who are in the analytics area pick up some of these skills and then move over to the data scientist area. In my case, I've moved around quite a lot, right? Which is core data science to analytics to leadership roles within analytics. So there's been a lot of transition. So we'll continue to see that happen, just because data science is so large and there's a huge intersection and overlap between all of these roles.
Yeah, it makes sense. As there's more data and data is becoming more critical to these processes, it just explodes and telescopes into a bunch of different groups. So instead of only supporting, one or two people who have to do it all, you now get specialists in every group, which
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also how the company transitions, right? So for instance, if you're just getting into data, you can go from 0 to 80 pretty quickly. And for that, just having general skills will help. But the moment you want to go to 80 and 90, from 80 to 90, and then further optimize, you need to get specialists in, right? So that's where you'll start to see people writing their own algorithms and their own models and such.
Yeah, and so I think that's a great transition. I think into basically, I'd love to learn a little more about your organization and how you look at it at Walmart. I look at Walmart, I think, as one of the iconic companies of data, basically, and from the beginning and now. And when you talk about going from 0 to 80, that's not where Walmart necessarily been. Walmart's right at the edge and sort of competing and winning on data. And so I'd love to understand, how does that sort of culture and team work for you? We've mentioned sort of specialization as one of the things that helps you get to that level of productivity. Love to understand more about the types of roles and culture and setup you have on your teams to sort of drive that level of excellence with data.
Yeah, so my current role at Walmart, which is actually specifically I lead product analytics tracks within Sam's Club, and I do digital marketing analytics and science within Sam's Club, is focused more on, I would say, the analytics area. There's a few areas which you could market and say are data science, but statistics heavy. And so I focus a lot on experimentation on the site, making sure there are no surprises. So the things like outlier detection and such are areas that we focus on quite a bit in my specific team. I think the larger question that you mentioned, Tristan, is the will of the organization, right? And how much the leadership believes that data is a key differentiator. And for that, I'll say absolutely. Within Walmart, it permeates throughout the organization. And you'd see focus right from leaders asking for specific data before they make decisions. There's very little, I feel that this is going to go this way and such. So a lot of the optimization decisions are based on data, and that really stems from the will of the organization and the leadership. And if you really think of the retail business and the e-commerce business, it's evolved so much, and it touches customers at a very deep level. And we are constantly looking at what is the best experience and what does that mean for customers and how the space evolves and such. And all of this is not possible without data. Absolutely, we look at all kinds of data metrics, everything that affects a business and everything that affects our customers.
Yeah, and I think one of the fascinating, parts of that challenge and that opportunity is that, you're competing, with a number of different groups, some of which are basically you could call, digital native or cloud native, basically like are, don't have sort of the rich history and sort of background of Walmart, but on the other hand, are starting off from day one, maybe with a certain mindset around this. So I'm curious how you, as sort of a group that has, one foot in both worlds, maybe, or things like that, kind of tackles that sort of competition and challenge at a technical level.
Yeah, a lot of it is really to do with how we observe what's happening in the general market. A lot of it comes from the leadership, where they are thinking through where the technology vector is going to be in the next 10 years or so. So there's that forward-looking pieces. We keep a close eye on what's happening generally in the market. Our customer needs changes, which is probably the most important factor here.
Yeah.
As the customer needs changes, so as an example, e-commerce and technology in the cloud, all of these are factors which probably weren't in play maybe 20, 25 years ago, but you can gradually see that this is an absolute necessity now. People shopping in apps, for instance, trends like that, which are generally increasing, which is a customer need which has to be serviced through technology and the underlying data associated with it. So we keep an eye on all of this, on the competition, our customer needs, where the general data market is going towards, the best practices and such. And we are constantly making decisions on that.
Thank you, Sharath Gokula, for joining us today. Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. Thanks.
Thank you, Tristan.